See if Jesse was right. See if Jesse was right. Is the number 1 actually running, or was it the number 3?
It's number 1. No, I swear, it's Edison.
I believe you, but you have to know the moment of truth in 1 minute.
Alright.
You don't know.
Bet $1 if I see him.
Jesse right. Jesse knows what train it is. The moment is coming.
I see the train! I see the train!
Number 3. Is it diesel?
I see the train!
Is it number 1?
It's coming!
Sounds like number 3, but no!
I'm shaking!
Jesse, what is up? First time, 2021.
I'm backing up. This train's coming in. Oh my god. Oh my god. Here it comes.
For the whistle, everyone. We're still moving. For the safety of our younger riders, we ask that the adults with them place themselves on the outside of the row. If that's not practical, please make sure they're held easy within
number
reach.
1.
Please stay seated while the train's in motion.
Number 3.
Keep those arms and legs and especially your heads inside the rail car at all times. Please refrain from smoking, eating, or drinking anything but water aboard the Greenfield Village Railroad. And as we continue on now through Railroad Junction, we're about to pass the historic Smiths Creek Depot. Originally built in 1858 in Smiths Creek, Michigan, about 8.5 miles southwest of Port Huron. There's a boy, Thomas Edison, worked for the Grand Trunk Railroad, selling treats and newspapers along the way from Port Huron to Detroit and back again. Off to your left, the fenced-in area is the new site of the vegetable building for the Detroit Central Market, coming soon to Greenfield Village. And that brings us to the heart of our Railroad Junction district. Just up ahead are Detroit, Toledo, and Milwaukee Roundhouse, where we repaired and maintained our 3 coal-fired steam locomotives. Originally built in 1884 in Marshall, Michigan, it was recreated here at Greenfield Village in the year 2000, using elements from the original building.
I was thinking, like, boy, pretty soon there'll be a day where it's 80 degrees, we got shorts on. It's a beautiful day.
On the other
Number
side
one.
of the Roundhouse is our Liberty Craftworks district, where artisans and craftsmen create beautiful objects in glass and pottery, tin and weaving. There's a print shop and a sawmill as well. And don't miss the Davis and Gerson Glass Gallery with a spectacular collection of industrial glass. And stop by the Liberty Craftworks store. Maybe take home a few of these beautiful items for yourself. Farms district, and just beyond the red cider mill is the Firestone Park, the birthplace of Harvey Firestone. Henry Ford's great friend and the founder of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company of Akron, Ohio. Farmhouse built in 1828 in Columbiana County, Ohio. And be sure to stop by our farm today. Check out the new arrivals. Firestone Farm is a real operating farm. Our farm hands are out in the fields today using tools, implements, and techniques they used way back in the mid-1800s. And that brings us to our next stop of the day, and that's Firestone Station at the front gate. And here you have full access to working cars, Main Street, Liberty Craftworks, and Memories Volunteers. You're leaving us here, please stay seated until the train comes to a complete stop. The engineer will give you a blast of the whistle. Well, that means the air brake is set. Then, I'll give you the go-ahead to exit on the right side only. So please stay seated, everyone, until you hear that whistle blow. Still moving, wait for the whistle, everyone. And there's the whistle. It's Greenfield Village and the Greenfield Village Railroad. Today we have our Thomas A. Edison coal-fired steam locomotive pulling the train,
I have to ask you a
and
question.
I'm Mike, your conductor.
Do you
For the
like
safety of our
not
younger
stopping
riders, we
at
ask that the adults with them place themselves on the
Susquehanna
outside
stop,
of the road.
or do you like
If
stopping?
that's not
I don't
practical,
like
please
stopping
make
there.
sure they're held or easily within your reach. And please stay seated while the train's
You know,
in
I'm gonna
motion.
say something crazy.
Keep
You know what
those
I
arms
think?
and legs, and especially your heads, inside the rail car at all times. Please refrain from smoking, eating, or drinking anything but water aboard the Greenfield Village Railroad. Don't forget, the railroad is a mascot experience please keep your mask on for the duration of the train ride. Now, you know, I just called all aboard, but I had my mask on, and I don't think the engineer heard me. So maybe all the boys and girls on the train today can help me out. On the count of 3, give me your very best. All aboard. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
All aboard.
Number 1.
I'll bet you heard that one because here we go.
I like the whistle.
Oh my.
A little more whistle.
And as we begin our journey to explore the sights and sounds of nearly 300 years of American innovation I'd like to remind you Greenfield Village is divided into 7 districts. Our first is Henry's Model T, where you can get a demonstration of a real Ford Model T car at the Model T loading dock and the Ford Motor Company building, which is at the corner of Bagley and Main. And that brings us to the birthplace of Henry Ford. Coming up on your left is the Ford Farm, built here in Dearborn, Michigan in 1861. Henry was born in that white farmhouse in July of 1863 and lived there with his parents and 5 brothers and sisters. Also on your left, the red building is the William Ford Barn. It's where we take care of all the horses we use every day here at Greenfield Village. Up next, it's our Main Street district. Here you'll find the Wright Brothers home and the Wright Cycle Shop, the birthplace of aviation. Right across the street, find out about the 57 varieties at the Heinz home, where they first bottled horseradish. And take a spin on our 1913 Herschel Spillman Carousel. Now don't forget, smack dab in the middle of Main Street, it's the center of the known universe. Talking about the frozen custard stand. Like the best ice cream ever. And we're now entering our Edison at Work district. And just beyond the picket fence is Thomas Edison's Menlo Park complex, where Edison and his staff of scientists and engineers developed the very first practical incandescent light bulb. The Menlo Park Complex is America's first research and development lab, responsible for such innovations as the microphone, the phonograph, and over 800 other patents. Also on your left, that mustard yellow building is the Sarah Jordan boarding house, where Edison staff used to live. It's the first residential structure in the U.S. to be wired up for electric light. And we're now approaching the gateway to our purchasing parlors district. That's the Ackley Covered Bridge from 1832 in Pennsylvania. Just beyond the bridge lies the entire Purchasing Parlors district, including the McGuffey School, the Hermitage Slave Quarters, the Noah Webster House, and the Robert Frost Home, just to name a few.
No, I don't see
Now,
it.
coming up on your left, the stone building is the Coswell Cottage, one of the oldest buildings here at Greenfield Village, built in 1640 in Chenworth, England. At the time, it was known as the Rose Cottage, and was a very special Valentine's present from Henry Ford to his wife Clara in 1934, when they brought it here to Greenfield Village. Also, coming up on the left is the historic Susquehanna Plantation, built in 1825 in St. Mary's County, Maryland. It was owned by Henry and Elizabeth Carroll, a prosperous family who held lavish parties in that plantation house. Now compare that to the small red house next door. That's the Thomas Clinton home. Thomas was an indentured servant, and he lived in that small one-room house with his wife and 7 children. At the end of the road on the other side of our Ferris windmill is the Daggett Park, a living history farm from 1754 in Andover, Connecticut. Stop in and see how Samuel Daggett and the family lived and worked on the farm prior to the American Revolution. Today is the Thomas A. Edison. It's a coal-fired steam engine that was basically cobbled together back in 1932 at the Ford Bruce plant from an old 1868 Manchester once owned by Thomas Edison. At the time, though, Henry did not want a Manchester engine. He wanted a Mason. So he redesigned it to sort of kind of somehow look like a Mason. And the result is the Franken engine we have today, the Thomas A. Edison, weighing in at 25 tons. So now, folks, let's take a moment to sit back and relax and enjoy the sights and sounds of railroading as it was in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Project, one of the largest in southeastern Michigan. Hundreds of trees have been planted and the waterways cleaned and cleared. And wildlife has returned with a herd of deer and many smaller animals as well, like rabbits, squirrels, and turtles. Birds, too, like green and blue heron, egrets and Canada geese, even a big flock of wild turkeys. Looking over on the river on your right, you'll see some of our wild birds sitting on the logs that are lying in the river. And we're now entering Walnut Grove on the back side of our Porches and Parlors district. Where we hold many of our special events throughout the year. And while we have Walnut Grove all set up for high school soccer, come June, Walnut Grove comes alive with the crack of the bat and the roar of the crowd as old-time historic baseball returns to Greenfield Village. All summer long, our own Nationals and La-Di-Das will take on other historic teams, playing under rules written back in 1867, which include no spitting, no cursing, and no gloves. On your left, it's the Henry Ford Academy. Henry Ford Academy is a charter school here in Wayne County. Students attend for free, but are chosen by lottery. This portion of the campus houses the 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. 9th graders attend class at the Henry Ford Museum. Just up ahead, you'll see 3 attached rail cars. They serve as classrooms for the senior class. Imagine that, going to class in a rail car. That waterway on your left is the Swanny Lagoon. It's a rainwater catch basin, and we use it for flood control here at the village. More importantly, though, it's the home to Godzilla, one of the biggest turtles you'll ever see. Now, that old boy's been swimming in these waters since 1929.
Wow. That's another turtle.
Also on your left at the top of the hill, it's a popular wedding spot. That's the Martha Mary Chapel. Named after Henry Ford's mother and mother-in-law, Martha and Mary, of course. And also on your left, it's the Taste of History. Also on your left, that's the Taste of History, a cafeteria-style restaurant. This year featuring a special menu based on recipes from some of our historic sites, like the Daggett Park, the Firestone Park, and the Burbank House. And that brings us to our next stop of the day, and that's Smith's Creek Station. From here you have full access to Railroad Junction, Main Street, and Liberty Craft Works. If you're leaving us here, please stay seated until the train comes to a complete stop, and I give you the go-ahead to exit on the left side only. Smith's Creek Station is your stop for Main Street and the Carousel, as well as Railroad Junction and the Roundhouse. And you're just a few short steps away from Liberty Craft Works and Henry's Model T. So again, please stay seated until the train comes to a complete stop. The engineer will give you a blast of the whistle. That means the air brake is set. Then I'll give you the go-ahead to exit on the left side only. Smith's Creek Station is your stop for Main Street and the Carousel, as well as Railroad Junction and the Roundhouse. And you're just a few short steps away from Liberty Craft Works and Henry's Model T. So again, folks, please stay seated till you hear that whistle blow. Still moving, waiting on the whistle, everyone. And
Yeah, it does.
Oh, here we go. I forgot there was a crossing signal there.
Yep.
Housing was the first place of Henry Ford. He was born here in July of 1863.